for to finally make Drew Peterson more than just a suspect. Defense attorneys Julia Morrow and Joanna Greenwald joining us now with a bit of a difference of opinion. Good to see you, ladies.
Hi there.
Hi, Jamie.
Julia, tell me first whether or not you think it's significant that immunity has been offered, and we should say it was offered 17 months ago, I read, but it's only just coming to light now, to Thomas Morphy, who is related to Drew Peterson and who, in a somewhat agitated and drug-induced state, because he tried to take his life after this incident, just days after Stacey disappeared, told investigators that he may have unknowingly helped dispose of Stacey's body.
Well, I think it's very significant, Jamie, and I think the fact that the prosecutors brought him into their camp literally, I think the following month. This happened on October 28th of '07. By November, they had offered him the immunity deal. They brought him into their camp, and very, very significant witness.
Yet, Julia and Joanna, I want you to respond. It is reported that he never testified before this grand jury that we know has been looking at this case for a very long time. And let me just put up on the screen, if I can, what Drew Peterson's attorney, we all know him, Joel Brodsky, this is what he says about Thomas Morphy and the immunity offer. It's suggesting investigators think Morphy unknowingly participated in, wait, that is not it. Can we put it up on the screen? Thomas Morphy has a documented history. Let's go back to the first page, please.
He's a drug addict.
If we
He's
can.
a drug addict.
All right. Well, basically, he has a history of using drugs.
Yeah.
And Thomas Morphy has a documented history of severe mental illness, drug, and alcohol addiction. This from Joel Brodsky, attorney for Drew Peterson. An offer of immunity by the state's attorney made in the hectic days, as Julia pointed out, following Stacey's disappearance does not make a statement by Mr. Morphy any more credible. Then why would he be offered immunity, Julia? Joanna.
Although I think the reason getting immunity is out of desperation. Let me say this, I unequivocally disagree with everything Julia just said. Because giving him immunity, this is desperation. They have no witnesses, so he had a barrel. So what? It doesn't mean that that necessarily meant that there's a body. They gave immunity because they're trying to give something. All that they have is a circumstantial case. This is not unusual. I was a former ADA to give immunity to somebody for them to say something. But as my defense attorney hat, if they put him on the stand, probably not and him not being in the grand jury, it's because there's something wrong with him. Him disappearing is because he went to rehab. He had a mental breakdown. He's a perfect person for me to have on the stand. I would eat him alive because he's a drug addict, he's afraid for himself, and he's got a plea deal. Peterson doesn't. It's not Peterson's burden, it's the DA's burden to prove this case, not Peterson's.
Let me ask about the immunity specifically. If he didn't testify before the grand jury, I suppose as an attorney there is a concern that his story could be one before the grand jury, 1 days after, 2 years after, if the case ever went to trial. But Julia, there's language in there that the immunity deal is off if he tells a different story, if he had anything to do with a murder of Stacey Peterson. Is that standard, or does it show that the state's attorney may himself be concerned about the credibility?
Well, you know what, those are all interesting questions, Jamie, and let me first say this. Apparently, Joanna's argument is that if you're a drug addict, or if you're an alcoholic, or if you have mental health problems,
you're a great
then
witness.
You're incapable of telling the truth.
How about you're a great witness?
And that's a little shocking to me, but in any event, to answer your question, Jamie, you know, the fact that they haven't put him on yet, I think the prosecutor is vetting his story, Jamie, because based on what he's told, he carried a barrel that was warm to the touch, which means if Peterson killed Stacey, she hadn't been dead that long. He's carrying the barrel. He might know more, and the prosecutor wants to put on all his other evidence in this lengthy investigating grand jury to make sure that all of the evidence, jibes with Morphy's account before they actually put Morphy on the stand. So that way, in front of the grand jury, he's got more credibility.
All right. Well, let's also remember that there is the case of Drew Peterson's third wife that hasn't been solved. Kathleen Savio, now ruled a homicide, even though it wasn't at the time. State's attorney has his work cut out for him. This is a big case. Hopefully someday we'll have answers. Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Take care.
Well, if